I was cleaning up a little bit, trying to rearrange some stuff, and I just thought I would grab the camera and just record some of it. First off, before I do anything else, thank you guys so much for 1,000 subscribers. Are you effing kidding me? That's ridiculous. Who are you people? I can't believe this little stupid low budget shitty little channel has that many people watching these videos. So I just wanted to personally say thank you very much. I really appreciate everybody, all your great comments and positive messages and feedback. And I'm happy to do it. I mean, this has been a lot of fun for me, and I'm happy to bring nostalgia back to you guys from looking at magazine covers that we had all forgotten about. I haven't made a video in a little while. I had some things going on and my mind hasn't been right. So I just decided to grab the camera today and just go over a few things with you guys while I'm trying to go over it myself and just see what I have and rearrange some stuff. You guys seen a lot of this stuff already anyway. These are just Madison Square Garden programs. All these, this is every program from the Garden every month complete from 77 to 84, all in this section here. I'm sorry, to 83, and I have sporadic 84 copies spread out throughout here. It is I do have the complete Garden from 84. This is the Mascaras IWA match with Ivan Koloff in New Jersey. These are just some magazine programs from the IWA. You guys see most of this. This is the real event program from that night from Ivan Koloff and Mascaras match at Roosevelt. But this gets the credit for the program. But it's, you know, it is a program magazine, but the other one's an actual program itself. This is from 77, I believe it is. Mascaras. This is also a magazine program from Mexico. These are just Garden programs from 74 and up. Don't have many of them. I got more in another pile somewhere. These, what are these? This is from Canada, Canadian Pacific Coast Wrestling, when Iron Mike Sharp was the champion. Yep, that Iron Mike Sharp, for the East Coast guys who think Iron Mike was just a jobber. He wasn't. He was beating Don Leo Jonathan for the Pacific Coast Championship up in Canada. Here's another program for a match with Don Leo versus Iron Mike with the belt. These are some strangleholds from the WWA. One of these is the program where Bruno and Dick the Bruiser win the tag team titles. I don't remember which one it is. This is an insider from Georgia. Kind of actually doesn't belong here. I wanted to keep mostly 70s stuff here. These are grapevines. All of these are grapevine from Florida. All from the early 80s, 82, 83, 84. These are NWA programs from Florida, a little bit different than the grapevine. Actually, I don't know what the difference is. If any of my Florida people out there know the difference between a grapevine and the NWA wrestling program that was distributed in Florida, let me know if there's a difference or one became the other or what. Road Warrior. This is some of my Road Warrior stuff. This is one I just had to sign. Most of my Road Warrior stuff's up there. I'll get it to you in a second. This is a cool one. This is Southwest Championship Wrestling. This is when Adrian Adonis won the quote-unquote World Championship, and Lou Thez presented the title to the winner, which is a very close copy of the NWA World title, but also was given Lou Thez's belt from 1950s. You know what? Lou Thez's figure just came out, and I got one. I was one of the earlier guys to get one. I got pretty lucky getting. A lot of guys are pissed off they didn't get their stuff yet. They made a figure of Lou Thez, and it's really damn good. I have to say, they got the old belt with the towel. It comes with a robe too, and but it's just a great shot of Lou captured there. First figure that I'm aware of. Maybe Japan put one out. I doubt it. Of Lou. I'm still waiting on the Bruiser Brody one. That one didn't come yet, but whoever ordered from Powertown, awesome shit. I mean, so far I'm loving it. But yeah, Adonis, all that is covered in one of the Southwest Championship Wrestling programs / magazine, which they would give out or sell rather at their shows. Here's another more. This is actually a little bit older, but it looks newer because it's done by the Wrestling News people, Norman Keitzer and them, from Southwest Championship Wrestling's Major League Wrestling. It's Tully Blanchard and Gino Hernandez, the dynamic duo when they were the Southwest Tag Team Champions. This was the magazine that covers the Adonis win inside this issue of Main Event, September of '83, I think that says. I don't have my glasses on. But it was short-lived. McMahon ended up taking the time slot from Blanchard and moving his channel to the USA channel. McMahon did. This is some Texas, actually Paul Bosch's Houston programs. Bruiser Brody versus the returning superstar Graham. I discussed that one in another video. And here is Crazy Luke Graham defending the WWA Los Angeles belt in the Houston territory for Paul Bosch. Didn't even know that was in here. Here's Brody and Stan Hansen. Early shot. If you see the full picture of this somewhere online, Brody's wearing shorts and tights and cowboy boots. It looks ridiculous with the cowboy hat. This is in 1974. Oh, that's signed by Ivan Putski too. I didn't know that. Yeah, this came out in '74, so it's a real early shot of Brody when they were pick a name, but the United States Tag Team Championship. It's Mid-South's Tag Team Championship belts, Bill Watts territory. Real early shot of Brody. I got more of him somewhere. These are just some Tiger Mask video magazines. This is the issue of Akira Maeda practically destroying the myth of Andre the Giant. And this is discussed in the Andre the Giant video that you guys seen. Here's Maeda again with the WWF UWF Heavyweight Championship belt, for those who know what that is. And you can see UWF at the very top. You'll see WWF there. That's when they were affiliated with the WWF, and WWF wrestlers were there taking on their challengers. Bob Backlund, for one, was there, and he would wrestle Nakihibu Takada for that title. Backlund got beat up pretty good in that match. Here's Takada again, which is interesting because, again, when the UWF changed, Maeda was no longer affiliated, and it continued on in the second uprising of the UWF. Lou Thez was back, and there he was again, presenting that title belt again. So the champion of the UWF would be wearing Lou Thesz's belt. Big Van Vader, early on in his career, would also hold that title. This is him with the Lou Thez belt. Lou is in the background. Early shot of Vader with no mask on. Great stuff from Japan. And then, of course, Takada would get that title back. For those who don't know, I'm very big into the Japanese magazines. I have, thousands. I'm almost complete from 69 to 75 with my Gong and monthly pro issues. This is just some Mil Mascaras stuff. This is one of Mil Mascaras' last, not one of the last magazine covers he'd be featured on as a wrestler, wrestling in the match. Just a program of, not a program, a photo album of Mil. Don't be fooled by the cover. It's awful, but inside content is awesome. Full color, came from Japan. They did one for Backlund. They did one for the WWF, which was mostly Hogan in this issue from '84. This is Japanese All Japan Women's Federation versus the America's Women Championship, which was MULA, which was the NWA at this point. It was '77, I believe, this tournament took place. Pretty rare program to that all-girl event. This is my Road Warrior stuff. All this was pretty much covered in the Road Warrior video I did. The Japanese did some fantastic covers of these guys. This is one of their first, that's their second maybe magazine cover. Their first is right there when they were the, what are they? The National Tag Team Championship belts. This is signed by Hawk and Animal, and that's when they were AWA champions. These were the first two figures here from Remco. I do have the other ones, the classic superstars, I think they're called, with the red shoulder pads and the blue shoulder pads. But these speak to me. These are way better, I believe. Another great shot. But I mean, these go way back. I mean, I've got, this is actually Hawk's death issue. That's why I don't like this issue, actually. I put it up there for now while I was cleaning things out. But I don't like that. It depresses me, so I don't like to see, because it says right here, Road Warrior Hawk dead, right here in big. And it's just like, I don't want to be reminded. But these go back pretty far. Some great covers on their first tour in Japan. This is very similar to this other cover that I'm not showing, but there's two that look exactly the same. One's from Gong, one's from Monthly Pro. There's a really great early shot of the Road Warriors here, man. Look at that makeup. I love their primitive look. Actually, if you look at these figures here, it was mimicked to this magazine here. I can do it if it's not falling. If you look at the face paint, it's exactly the same from this magazine. That's where they took the idea from. For those who didn't know, there's a inside secret. There is the cheap knockoff Demolition. I met those guys actually at a horror convention, and I didn't spend much money, and I like to spend money, if you haven't been able to tell with all my collections of stuff. So I bought the figures for, I think, $70 and another 20 or 25 for them to sign it. I was like, screw it, sign it. I'm not one that keeps packages closed for figures. I usually open them, but they're I kept them closed, and I have them opened here. They look much better with their helmets on. For a cheap, low-budget knockoff of the Road Warriors, they were all right. What's behind all this is just my autographed stuff. We can go through that if you want. I never really showed all my autographs before. I mean, it's not like I'm trying to brag or show off. I usually try to make my videos more meaningful. I hate to say educational, just something you can learn from as a collector, but just to show off a little bit. And I have a lot of Backlund signed magazines. This is signed by Backlund and Valentine. Sherry the King Lawler, what's he doing up there? Wrong magazine. That's not signed. This is also signed. Everyone here you're going to see pretty much, unless I made a mistake, are all signed. This is signed by 4 guys: Putski, Snuka, Flair, and Backlund. Hulk Hogan and Backlund signed. You know what? Come to think of that. Hold on a second. I know. Rest in peace, Iron Sheik, man. Damn, he just lost him last week. Hold on, I got it somewhere. It's pretty cool. These are Japanese magazines as well. If I can get around the glare. I showed some of these before, but check this news magazine out. It's a newspaper magazine. Hogan. Oh, the glare's killing me. Hogan and Backlund. Great shot, man. I love that cover. That covers their match. Also, rare one. While I'm here, we'll just, the match of title versus title. Flair and Martel. AWA versus NWA. Harley Race defending the title against Mil Mascaras in Japan. Bob Backlund with the WWF belt, WWF belt. You can tell because it's the dark blue. These are magazine programs from the Olympic Auditorium out in Los Angeles. Got a bunch of these somewhere. John Tolis, Pak Song, the Battle Royal. John Tolis as the America's champion. Classic battles with Victor Rivera, when Rivera was back and forth between the WWF and Los Angeles. Also with the Sheik. I forgot I had this one sitting here. Sheik is going after Rivera's title. And this is, I believe, 73. It may have been January 73. But anyway, sorry. I just wanted to show that magazine of Hogan and Backlund. Another great shot early with Backlund. Got a lot of stuff signed by Bob. This is signed by Harley and Bob. My boy Scotty Richardson, my good friend from Wrestler Weekly, gave me this. He knows I love Don Leo, and it's signed by Don Leo in pen when Don Leo was in New York for the Hall of Fame. No, not the fake imaginary Hall of Fame. It's in your mind. The real Hall of Fame, it's in New York State. Backlund and Bruno Sammartino signed, 2 champions on the cover. Wrestling Wonders, which pops the lid off of Backlund losing the title to Inoki when Inoki pinned him for the 3 count and won the WWF belt. Backlund PWI. I know the glare sucks. Sorry, guys. MSG coverage of Backlund and Race. And give me 1 second here. Got something. I had another thing with Backlund. It just, I don't know where I put it. Maybe I'll find it in the mix. Harley Race, one of my favorite magazine covers with him on it. I explained that, and also this one. Well, and that one too, and also that one. These are my favorites from this time period, early 80s. Blackjack Mulligan signed with Harley. There's signed by, not Dusty, that's his Stan Hansen signed it, not Dusty Rhodes. I don't have really much with Dusty. A couple 8x10s, I think 1 magazine, that's it. This is signed by Snuka and Backlund when Snuka was a heel. Harley slamming Andre. This is signed, again, not by Dusty. This is signed by Terry Funk. It just made it look like Dusty signed it, I guess, which is pretty cool. Cheap way out of it, I guess, because he put Dusty's name. Dusty, you are missed, he wrote on the cover. And yes, he sure is, man. Leilani Kai and Judy Martin signed cover of The Ring. Dory Funk Jr. signed NWA World Champion. Deluxe issue that's covering Brody's win against Dory Funk when he won the NWA International World Heavyweight Championship. One of my all-time favorite covers. What a fantastic shot. Harley wins the title for the 7th time, and we'll go back to win it one more time for the 8th in New Zealand. I showed the magazine coverage from that, I think, in the main event video that we did. Billy Jack Haynes and Kerry Von Erich, signed by Jimmy Snuka. I remember the day I bought this after school. One day, walking home, at the magazine shop, and there this was, and Jimmy had just kind of turned good at this point, where he's getting ready to. Yep, and here he is with Captain Lou signed, Wrestling Scene. This one is not signed. I never got it signed. I wanted to get it signed and never did. So I never will. And that one either. I just wanted him to sign up here. But I could get Tommy Rich to do that one. This is signed by Afa and Sika. Signed by Sergeant Slaughter. I got a pretty cool figure that goes with that. Hold on a second. You know what? Never mind. I don't want to take it all out. I got a figure of Slaughter with that belt custom made. That's pretty cool. That goes with that same cover. Kind of like I did with the Lou picture up there. Harley wins back the title from Dusty Rhodes. Harley signs it. Harley Race, 8-time NWA champion. This is signed by Flair and Valentine. They had some great wars together. This one is soon to be signed when I meet the two. Valentine's easy. Flair is a little more expensive these days. I got to wait for his hotness to cool down a little bit. Maybe his prices will drop. I don't know. His prices are crazy now. He used to be cheap. Flair and Valentine again. And also Tully Blanchard signed up top. One of the few I have made out to Bill, which is me, Bill. You guys know me by now, right? I usually don't say my name or show my face. I mean, I will someday. It's not like I'm keeping it a secret for any reason. You guys are here to see magazines, not me. I hate when people show videos and they're trying to show a magazine, but they have to put their face out there to show themselves too. It's like, dude, I don't want to see you. I want to see the material. This is made out to me again. This is not signed yet, but I will. This one's signed when he broke Wahoo's leg. Back in the 70s. Great shot of that. Great shot of him signed in the WWA America's Heavyweight Championship. And then I had to get this when he had it on his table. A throwback from that photo. He's wearing that shirt and that belt some 40 years later. And signed 8x10 here of Greg. I think most of this is just Ric Flair. Flair, after he won the title back from Kerry Von Erich. Grapevine coverage of Flair's first title win. bringing the belt to the Meadowlands. Actually, we have that program. This will be the first time the NWA title is defended in the New York area since Buddy Rogers. So it was a nice gap there, and Flair brought it back. This is the day he won the title back. Actually, for the first time against Dusty, rather. 8x10. I didn't get that signed personally. That one was from High Spot Sports. As I drop all my shit. Flair winning the title against Dusty. His first magazine cover as champion, signed. Flair winning the title back for the 4th time, signed. Flair winning the title back for the 2nd time, signed. This was actually Bill Apter's copy. This is signed by a few people. Valentine at the bottom, Flair from Starrcade, and Ricky Steamboat up top. Flair signed Kerry Von Erich. And Flair making his tour through Japan during his 2nd reign as champ. Let me just fix what I knocked over. And some more Flair continue. I have a ton of magazines signed by Flair, Superstar. It's Race, Bruno. I have so much. You've seen most of them. This is signed by Ronnie Garvin, Ricky Steamboat. This is Flair's, not signed yet, I wanted to. It's his last magazine cover as the champion when he just defeated Hogan at in that cage match at Uncensored. And this is also soon to be signed with him and Fujinami. I say soon to be, it'll probably never be, as long as he's charging $150 a signature, he's not getting a penny from me. Rick Martel as the AWA champ, signs at AWA champ. I believe I heard he just started doing shows again, which is cool because he stopped for a really long time. And this was worth a few pennies. Now it might go down in value because he's doing shows again. Magnificent Morocco with the Intercontinental Championship. Ricky Steamboat with his horrible mustache as Mid-Atlantic Heavyweight Champion. Steamboat as World Champion signed. Lex Luger wins the U.S. title in Chi-Town Rumble 89. Lex Luger with his first championship belt, the Southern Heavyweight Championship belt from Florida, signed by Lex, a grapevine covering his win. This is signed by Super Machine, which is the Mass Superstar. This was signed by Tony Atlas. He gave it to me for free, didn't charge me for it, which I thought was really cool. He did 2 of those, and he signed them both, didn't charge me. I thought that was really cool of him. Signed by Nikita. And like I said, Flair was in the waiting. First issue, #1 of Wrestling All-Stars, Dick Slater and Flair. That's signed by Flair. Tommy Wildfire Rich looks great on the cover of a magazine. Would not be champion, but just a handful of days. And Ric Flair, rare shot of him with the U.S. Heavyweight Championship Mid-Atlantic version, bloody shot. Also signed by Mascaras and Ken Batera here in dark pen. The Last Battle of Atlanta, Tommy Rich, Buzz Sawyer, signed by Wildfire. I love Tommy's signature. He signs it so cool, makes it really big. I like that. To Bill once again, which is okay. Putting the dragon, maybe want to puke. I hate that gimmick. I hate the dragon. I like 70s Steamboat. Like I said, it's just me. I'm stuck in the 70s. It's just, it's just me. Harley and Steamboat. Jimmy Valiant, signed Wrestling Review. Sports Review, rather. This is signed by Nikita and Arn Anderson. Magnificent Battle of the Golden Boys, signed by Flair and Tommy Rich. Tommy Rich once again with Buzz Sawyer, Kevin Sullivan, and the cat's out of the bag with the devil gimmick. This is signed by Harley and Tommy Rich after Harley won the title back again from Rich after that week-long title win. This is signed by Tommy Rich at the bottom, Ricky Steamboat at the top. Sorry, I know I'm killing you with the glare. This is signed, I forgot I even had this, Magnum TA and Tully, also Paul Orndorff, signed. And here is that other Atlas issue that he gave to me for free. I did buy some stuff off of him too, and I had a few other things signed, so he just threw those 2 in for free for me. Excuse me. Moving down, this is signed by all 4 horsemen. I got JJ, Flair, Arn, Tully, and Lex. Great looking cover. Mid-Atlantic. These are some of my programs and magazines from companies like NWA Magazine, WWF Magazine. So they're not all going to be signed. Just a collection of different magazines from different territory companies. Mid-Atlantic issue. That one's signed by Flair, Mid-Atlantic. Iron Sheik. This is autographed actually by Terry Taylor. Another good shot of Sheik when he was the Mid-Atlantic champion, holding that boot with the hook on it at the tip. Lex Luger, Pro Wrestling Digest, another Pro Wrestling Digest. These are issues 1 and 2 of that. Another Mid-Atlantic magazine. I want to actually move that up because I want Valentine to sign that next time I see him. We've seen a few of these before. These are Bill Watts' territory for UWF. This is Starcade, signed by Harley, signed by Flair, signed by Jimmy Valiant inside, signed by Hulk Hogan inside, Ricky Steamboat inside, and Greg Valentine. I show this in another video. Starcade 83, that was. Starcade 84. Starcade 86, the Skywalkers. Starcade 87, Chi-Town Heat. I don't have Starcade 88 because it was not Jim Crockett's promotions anymore, and I only collect Crockett. Night of the Champions. This was that magazine I just said when Flair brought the title back to the New York, New Jersey area for the first time in 20 some odd years since Buddy Rogers. And here's the program to that event, which was an AWA, NWA, and Puerto Rico WWC merger for one night in the Meadowlands. They had Night of the Champions number 2, and this was AWA, NWA guys only. Great American Bash, 85. I just seen this sell for $600 on eBay. I couldn't believe it. There's another one listed right now with no bids on it yet. I'm going to watch and see how much that one goes. If 2 people got stupid and just went to a bidding war, I don't mean stupid, I meant just, just went crazy on it and just had to get it, or it's actually going to sell for that again. I got to keep an eye on that. If that's the case, I'll sell mine. Great American Bash 86. Bash 87. It's almost Bash time. We're getting close to the 4th of July. And I always try to watch my bashes during that weekend just as to recapture that nostalgia again. Bash 88. These all have the lineup sheets with them, by the way. Like the lineup sheets are on the back of these. 86 and 85 are inside of it. Bash 88, that's the generic version of the magazine program. And this is the actual program, and it has the lineup sheet on the back. This is from when we went to, actually no, this wasn't. This was Lexington, Kentucky. I didn't go to Bash 88. I went to Bash 87. And NWA magazine with Terry Funk on the cover, another hard to find, rather expensive magazine, not signed by Terry, and I don't believe I ever will. The way things are looking, I don't get to too many shows, and Terry hasn't felt well at all. Star Wars 85, AWA's attempt to come into the Northeast and invade McMahon's territory, and this was their first show. Star Wars 85, signed by Road Warrior Animal and Precious Paul. Another Japanese mag of Flair and Martel, title versus title. Another PW, the Pro Wrestling USA show from 85. They did 4 in 85 and 1 in 86. There's the next one. This was from Atlantic City TV taping they did at the Tropicana. This is Battlestar 86 with the Road Warriors in the Meadowlands. Rage in the Cage, NWA and AWA. This was our last show together as the joint team of AWA and NWA teaming up for TV tapings for Pro Wrestling USA, and they would finally all split Worldwide Wrestling. We would get up north, and Pro Wrestling USA for AWA, which was recorded out in the Showboat at the time, and then also Atlantic City as well. These are just some AWA programs that I used to pick up when I went to the shows. They're the generic program with no lineup sheets or anything like that, so the value of these are pretty low. Except for this one's pretty expensive. It's Abdullah the Butcher's first and only program cover for a major publication. So that one tends to sell for a few bucks. These, Jesse the Body going for the title at the Brendan Byrne Arena against Backlund. And these are just the WWF magazines. We showed these before. This was going to be issue number 5, but it never made it, or number 6, I don't remember which one. Victory Sports, first issue of WWF with Hogan, second issue. The first program of the new style that went this way from Wrestling News. McMahon put out his own program, and they looked like this rather than Norman Keitzer's magazines from Wrestling News. And this is the pro wrestling. This was the Wizard's death-ish, talking about his passing. This was a program from the Philadelphia Spectrum when Buddy Rogers came out of retirement and teamed with Snuka to take on Albano and Morocco. Shea Stadium Spectacular with Bruno in 80, Shea Stadium Spectacular with Bruno in 76, Inoki and Ali TV taping, Bruno's farewell, and yada yada. WrestleMania, Steamboat program. I think it's signed on the back, I think. Yeah, pretty cool shot of Steamboat with the belt. Sheik and Volkov. The Moondogs, never, as they were tag team champions, but never showed with the belts, which is crappy. I wish they did. You heard the crash earlier. That was my Cactus Jack figure taking another fall. And Cactus does not need any more falls. This is just a custom FMW ring, excuse me, ECW figure of Cactus, ECW with Funk. Barely legal program. These are some IWA King of the Deathmatch videos, tapes from Japan. When Cactus won the IWA Championship is this one here. Actually, this is Sabu and Funk and the Barbed Wire at the ECW Reno, signed by Sabu. There's the program where Cactus won King of the Deathmatch, and here's an autographed photo of him after winning it with the barbed wire, the bloody mask, and the trophy. There's a ticket stub to that event. As I'm looking over here, I just happened to see this Road Warrior poster that I had from the Japanese magazines. What a cool shot. Try to get it out of the glare. Japanese gave their fans so much great stuff. I mean, God, what an awesome looking poster. You guys seen these before. These are the posters that came inside of Gong, the Japanese magazine, monthly issues. This is a 16 by 20. Superstar Billy Graham, WWF champion, and Bruno, two-time WWF champion, at their first meeting in the Garden, and I believe it was 76, January 76. Superstar with the gold, Mascaras with a bunch of masks. Atlantic City Convention Center in 1982 lineup poster that was on a billboard. Just, you know, you've seen most of these before. It's just posters and yada yada. Moving on, just from the FMW stuff and the hardcore Japan. I mean, this was FMW program. These are all FMW and ECW magazines. IWA as well. Wing. It's a program to an event, and that's Wing's first show program. They're on their kickoff tour called Takeoff. Onita on the cover of Gong, exploding matches. I show a bunch of these in the Hardcore Extreme video we did. Taz on the first issue of ECW magazine, little figure of Taz. Also Van Dam and Sabu, which was their first little cheap figures that came out. Got the real Sheik and Onita and a barbed wire. This was the match where Onita takes the Sheik's U.S. title and wins the title. He would also get it back, the Sheik. Sheik would also win the FMW Independent World Heavyweight Championship from Onita. Cactus in the King of the Death match. Just some ECW magazines here. There's a rare magazine with Onita. It's also signed by Onita. I went through hell and back 16 times to make that autograph on that magazine happen. Signed by Sabu and Whipwreck. XPW. This is a magazine calendar. I have a few of those. This is also another XPW magazine. if you find XPW magazines and you're into that kind of wrestling, grab them, because some people don't know what they are and they're letting them go rather cheap. There was not a lot made. I'm talking like a couple hundred, and they are expensive as hell. They sell for a lot of money. People are looking for them, so grab them if you can. This is some of my Sheik stuff. The Sheik goes all the way across. We'll go through some stuff if you want. Just up here, there's a great looking shot of the Sheik in Japan. These couple books here were redone in 2003. One's called This Saturday Night, which is a photo book from Detroit wrestling. Pretty cool. It goes for pretty big money now. These are body press magazine programs from the Sheik's territory. I go through a lot of these already before. This Gino Hernandez's autograph my buddy Koda gave to me as a gift when he made his tour through Japan. Yeah, just a couple shots. That's a rare shot of the Sheik right there too, in '74 with Bobo Brazil. The Sheik's war with Dick the Bruiser took place in '73, '74, covered in these Japanese issues. Great shot of Abdullah and the Sheik on the cover of Gong. I know the glare is a killer, but it's a cool shot of just these two bloody faces. I mean, look at that. Pretty good looking shot of Abdullah. I mean, they captured the likeness pretty well when they did these in the early 90s. This is from Japan, Tiger Jeet Singh figure. That goes for a lot of money as well. Hard to find that little sucker. Here is the Sheik again. I like to hurt people VHS that I still have. It's a shot of the Sheik. I seen the Sheik in the ECW arena. I took that picture of him, which it's hard to get a shot. He was fighting in the crowd, never even stepped into the ring, so it was hard to see him, but he walked right past me. I was able to get a couple pretty good shots of him. That's the only picture I have left. Sheik and Tiger Jeet Singh when they battled in Toronto. This is Sheik autograph magazine as he's battling Dory Funk. It's autographed here. I know the glare sucks. One of my other favorite magazine covers of the Sheik on this cover of Ben Strong. Poster of the Sheik and Detroit. These are some rare photos that were floating around. I think you can get them now, but when I first got them, my brother-in-law, who had a really good friend from the Garden, took all kinds of photos, and I would sell them. And he was an independent guy. I don't know his name. I'm never going to find out because my brother-in-law is in jail for a double murder. So I'm never going to find out who this photographer was. But he gave me these photos as a kid. I must have 60 of them. A lot of WWF ones, but he had a lot of Georgia at the time. I never knew who these people were. I was young when he gave them to me. But there's some great shots of Igor and Pampero Firpo and the Sheik. Superstar Graham down here walking to the ring. Superstar with the Florida belt. That was a friend gave me that from Japan. That Superstar in '75 or '4 when he won the IWA Japan Championship. Harley Race sitting here with, that's a signed 5x7. Some more body press issues with the Sheik. I don't care what you have in your collection. If you don't have Ed Farhat Jr.'s soundtrack and album, you don't have shit. Show me another one of these. Ed Farhat sings with his band the classic song The Sheik, followed up by The Sheik 2 and The Sheik 3 on audio cassette. Classic shit, man. I mean, incredible. Ernie Ladd, who was another one of my favorite big men. I love them on the mic. I love them in the ring. And this is signed by Ernie Ladd. My buddy Bud Carson hooked me up with that sucker. And here he is on the magazine. I have no magazines with him signed, but here he is with the America's title and also a custom America's title belt for him to match. Love that. Bruiser Brody from Japan, the Sheik. I got to see Bruiser as a kid. I told you guys in another video I sat ringside and took some awesome shots of him. I don't know what to do with them. They're just kind of floating around. I got to put them somewhere, at least protect them with something. But some great shots of Brody during his match. And like I said, I was real lucky enough to be there. I'm trying to see what there's. Sensational Sherry Martel. Shane Douglas is in the ring. Sabu was out of the ring. There's Funk half in and half out at the night the line was crossed in the ECW. Let's see. It's mostly boxing stuff. Well, it's here. I have a huge boxing collection also. I have all of them from the 70s, 3/4 from the 80s. But this is mixed with some signed issues. Superstar signed here, Bruno, and also Mascaras. Mills signed here. Tommy Hearns and Marvin Hagler. Marvin Hagler, my second favorite behind Mike Tyson, Smoking Joe Frazier, were my favorites as a kid. These are some rare issues. Ali, these are mail-in issues. This was the fight issue when Ali won the title from Foreman. Super Fight, Frazier and Ali 3. So I have some signed ones too somewhere. I don't know where they all are. Oh, down here. This is signed by Ernie Holmes. This is signed by Leon Spinks after he beat Muhammad Ali and shocked the world and took his title. Smoking Joe with the belt. This whole section, all this is just Mike Tyson and his career, his first 2 magazine covers, all the way through his career, becoming world champion. And a lot of those are worth cash too. This is every single issue of International Boxing, every issue of World Boxing. This is signed by Michael Moore when he was the first left-handed world champion. He beat Evander Holyfield for the belts, and that's it. Evander Holyfield. This is signed by Michael Moore. I don't have nothing signed by Holyfield. You don't see him very often. He doesn't really go out and do shows and stuff. Moving on, these are some pretty cool pictures that I got from my boy Eric in Kentucky of Macho Man. With the belt. Another cool shot of him in his apartment. These are some candid shots of him on his weight bench. There's his front door of his apartment with a towel or a blanket covering his front window. Real early shots of Savage in the 70s. Here he is with his valet before he had Elizabeth. She become Miss Brenda Britton, I believe, when she went with... I get the two confused. Rip the Crippler Oliver and Rip Hawk. There's Rip Hawk, Rip Oliver, and the names are escaping me. 2 of them look the same. They had blonde hair and the beard. It was Rip Rogers and Rip Oliver. I get those two sometimes confused. Another great shot, Bloody Savage here. I love the ICW. Any footage I can find of Savage in the ICW I take. Savage, there's Jake Roberts. Another shot of Savage. Another bloody shot. Pretty cool. Never seen before photos. This was from my brother-in-law. Like I was saying before, he had, although he knew that photographer in the garden that was mixed in there as well. But, I got a couple more here. Let's see. Savage during a TV taping, I guess. I have this on video. I forget what it is. It's a challenge to somebody for something. And here he is, again, with the money and the gold. Early shot of Savage. I want to say somewhere around 77, 78 from what I was told. And him flexing in the mirror. A lot smaller, much better, more athletic, and than when he was all blown up. I wish he didn't go to the WWF. I mean, I'm glad he had success. I just, I love him as a wrestler. I would have liked to have seen him stay in the NWA, but is what it is. These, I believe, are mostly signed by Superstar and Harley. Like this is signed by Superstar and Harley, this issue. And Bruno at the bottom. The glare sucks. Great looking magazine cover of those two. This is signed Superstar Harley. Superstar Harley, Backlund, and Mascaras. Got 4 of them on this one. signed by Superstar. And also an early shot of Superstar before he went full head shave in 1980. Another shot of Superstar. All these, next 4 rows. I'll just go through them kind of quick. Just get the shot. This is a great shot of him. He's huge in this picture. His first magazine cover in January 71. And of course, the first cover, he's posing for it, which is pretty cool. Him coming to the Meadowlands. They're announcing him to face Bruno soon in 75. It was a program for Brendan Byrne or Meadowlands Arena. This is an AWA photo album from the early 70s. Again, another favorite magazine cover of mine that I got from the back issues. This is all Bruno and Superstar double signed. So Bruno, this one I don't have double signed. This one here, great shot. This was in 78, I believe that match was, but it came out on a 79 issue. Bruno and Superstar. And then the 1980 shot of Graham with the shaved head in Texas. And these are just a couple of 8x10s. Another one, 8x10. I had a bunch of 8x10s of Superstar, but another great shot. Great belt shot. I'm going to I have to just throw these on the floor because there's just too many. This I didn't get signed. I wanted to, I never did. Him and Billy Jack. And some Grapevine programs with Graham. And this was an early one made out to me. One of the few I have made out to me. It's like an 8.5 by 11 photo of Superstar. Down here, I think this is the last of my signed issues. I mean, I have another pile full, but this is the last of the ones that I have hanging on my wall. This is cool because they have a figure that kind of goes with that magazine cover of Bruno. I always usually keep that somewhere displayed because you guys know how much I loved Bruno. Here he is on his second title reign, autographed by Koloff and Bruno. Koloff with the heavyweight championship of the world, and this is the one and only, you're not going to be able to see it, but the one and only program that I have of Ivan defending the title against Jay Strombo. Pretty rare shot of this too, in a chain match as well, signed by Bruno and Koloff. Bruno defending the title against Don Leo in a program. Bruno signed wrestler. Tri-State Wrestling with Bruno. This is signed by Bruno in silver. This one's not. Bruno's first magazine cover in 1960. A 1960 program of Bruno on the card. Here he is as a rookie. Bruno defending the title in Atlantic City, New Jersey, along with Moolah defending her title and the Mongols defending their title. Bruno and Thez. Bruno and just some more with Bruno and Mascaras. And these, signed by Pedro Morales. A lot of these you've already seen, signed by Bruno. Wrestling Review. This is signed by Penn and Bruno. Most likely they ran up to the ring and got it signed. Remember the good old days when you could run to the ring and have the wrestler sign your autograph for you right before they took place in the match. These are all by Mascaras. I'll start losing everything here. It's hard to do this with one hand. I know I'm probably shaking the shit out of it, and bear with me, I apologize. This is Mascaras' first program for the Garden. The first mass wrestler, I should say, was Mil Mascaras, and they lifted the ban. He was the first one to wrestle in the Garden, and this was the program of that night, December 1972, I believe it was. I hate when they don't put the dates on the outside because it always makes me forget. Signed by Mil. And here is a magazine signed by Mascaras of his match against the Spoiler for his first match in the Garden. This is on the cover of Wrestling World. And the spoiler came to town to take on Morales, and he had to remove the mask. So when he came to the Territory, he was maskless. And for Mascaras, they lifted the band. That's how big of a draw he was. Another great shot of him with the IWA belt. This is also signed by Funk and Mascaras. This is signed by Bob Backlund, Ivan Koloff, and Mascaras. Signed by Mascaras. Great shot. Also, Bruno signed the corner. And Mascaras signed there. These down here are not signed. They're just a big mix of wrestling album, the Wrestling Superstars issue that we covered that was extremely expensive. These with the cards, these two. Actually, this one is signed by Bruno and Flair, but the second one is not, that one. Just some oddball. There's a program that doesn't belong here from AWA with Hogan. That should be on the other side. The Apartment Girls, of course. My signed Apartment House Girl magazine. That's pretty Joe generic shit. These are my stack piles. Like I said, my boxing magazines are down here. I have all these in piles. And some will say you shouldn't stack. Oh, that's a great poster of Brody winning Dick the Bruiser's WWA Heavyweight Championship of the World in '78. That's Bruiser's first major magazine cover, major poster as a champion, and holding it high up in the air, being interviewed after the match. I love that poster. This is Mike Tyson. This is my cousin Kelly Pavlik. I'm Bill Pavlik. That's I'm Billy R. Pavlik for Robert. That's Kelly R. Pavlik for Robert. Was that middleweight boxer back in the 90s. Wrestling scene, wrestling review, wrestling roundup, wrestling superstars, and the ringside are all here. These are actually PWI are all down in here. Inside Wrestling and the Wrestler from 80 to 87 are here. Kind of made a mess of everything, but these are just all scattered. So I have, all the Wrestler, all the Inside Wrestling, all the Sports Review, Greatest Battles, Superstars. Every issue from every magazine are in these piles. Just all kind of, they're not just thrown together. It's every magazine complete from 1951 until 1993. The 90s, I have a few issues that I'm missing because I didn't really care about them, but 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s are all complete. These are more 50s issues are all up here. These are all the the early ones like Wrestling World, the NWA Official Wrestling, and then just Official Wrestling when they first came out. These are the and I did a video on all the NWA World Champions on the cover of a magazine, and this is 1/3 of the 3 piles of magazines I have separating all the world champions with the belts on the cover. These are just the first Stanley Weston run of every wrestling review issue that Stanley did from 59 to 64. These are his wrestling illustrated issues. It's hard to get up here with all these and stuff in the glare. But these are the Wrestling Illustrateds. These are all Wrestling Superstars. This is the other half of the champions from the NWA, except for the Andre shot. Some Mexican issues. It's a handmade little doll of Mascaras from Mexico. Here I usually keep my 8x10s. I got more 8x10s that I can shake a stick at, but I'm not going to go through all these. But there's a million of them back there. But yeah, that's basically my collection. Nothing. I really haven't bought nothing new in a while. I got a few boxing magazines, but nothing, not too much wrestling wise. Pretty much seen just about everything. I do have some Japanese stuff. The lighting back here is bad. I have to turn lights off to get it. I have to turn the lights on to get some spots. This is a IWGP tournament when Hogan won the title. This is for tournament number 2. That's for Pancrase, which was wrestling and martial art mix before MMA was evolved. some programs from New Japan when Inoki was the champion. There's a bunch of different programs back here, all Japanese stuff. This is a MSG number 3, 1980 poster, event poster. Another MSG event poster. And like you notice, you'll see a lot of our wrestlers there. Snuka, the Masked Superstar, the Von Erich brothers, all went through Japan and competed in these. Dusty Rhodes, Stan Hansen, Andre the Giant. IWGP belts. 1957 magazine when Thez brought the NWA title to Japan. Ricky Dozan beating Thez and established the NWA International World title in Japan in 57. Got a few from 57. This is the program of that night. These are, this is the Great Muta, rare figure of the Great Muta. This is signed by Muta when he was IWGP champion, as well as the All Japan Triple Crown champion on the cover when he wore the paint or the mask, whatever that was. These are all just the IWGP champions in this. Like Hogan was the first. There's a match between Inoki and Hogan at the end. Hogan back to defend against Inoki, WWF versus IWGP in 85. These are 2 ticket stubs. This is the night he beat Andre. This is the night he beat Hogan. Inoki, that is. Another event program for that night. The magazine coverage to it. Inoki getting the strap after beating Hogan. Another issue covering it as well. And here he is, IWGP champion in 86, in 87, in 84. That's him right there. That's him with the belt as a figure, Inoki figure with the IWGP belt and the NWF belt. Fujinami with the IWGP belt, and when he beat Ric Flair for the NWA belt, that was title versus title. Fujinami with the IWGP and Texas WCCW title when he beat Kerry Von Erich. It was supposed to be Flair and Vader in 92 or 91, but Vader lost the belt to Fujinami, and Fujinami would defend title versus title against Flair. And here is the 2 before, and here is Fujinami winning the title at the end, holding up both IWGP and NWA. I have a few magazines with him with that. And just some other miscellaneous Japanese issues. Excuse me. Down here are all my Japanese magazines from the 60s and the 70s. A couple from the 80s, but these are all just from... I'm going to make a mess because I can't do it with one hand, but they just go way back. You can see how far back they go. These are, from the 60s, 70s, early 70s, mid to late 70s, a couple from 1980. Mil Mascaras' first match in Japan. I had a couple with the Sheik, and I had other ones other than just the ones I showed you before. It's funny, I get asked a lot about books. I don't have a whole lot of books. I have a couple. This was from 1953. It's a wrestling's a fan book, and it just tells you all about the different wrestlers from that time period. This was a book from 1950. It's pretty beat up, but it gives you the wrestlers. It tells you some of the holds that they do, some of the submissions that they do, and who they are, where they came from. It's pretty interesting. I don't have a lot. I can show you just a couple that I have. Official Wrestling Yearbook. I did a video on official wrestling and official wrestling guide. And a couple months that they didn't put magazines out, they put a book out in its place. So this was June of 73's issue of Official Wrestling Yearbook, and it came out in an actual book rather than a magazine. And they did that 4 different times. So these are 4 of those. These are super hard to find, to complete. This one's just on all women. It's like magazine paper. It's basically like a magazine, but it's in a small book form. And same with this one. This is my good buddy Bill Apter's book. I highly suggest it. He signed it for me, a little inscription, and there's some pictures in here. Not as many pictures as I thought coming from a photographer, but he doesn't own the rights to the pictures, so he really can't post that many because they're owned by PWI and not him, which kind of sucks because he took them all. But here's a couple color shots, just some candid ones with him backstage. But you get the idea. Highly suggested. I have the audio book and the actual book. I'm more of a belt guy. You know, I love title championship belts and I love champions. So I have these books I can't recommend enough. I love them. The 10 pounds of gold. They also did one for the United States Championship. It explains it from the Crockett Territory and also the Crown Jewel. Excellent books explaining the history of the belt, who wore it and when it came out and why the changes that they made to it. This one as well, Valentine with the old U.S. belt that looks like the 10 pounds of gold. It was like the 10 pounds of silver, all the way to the. There's a great shot of Jimmy Snuka. There's a great shot of Slaughter with the U.S. belt. Wahoo, Piper with it. You don't see that very often. Great shots. I definitely recommend these books if you like that kind of stuff. Flair with it. Great shot of him and Gordon Soley. Excellent books. This is a great book. Exquisite Mayhem, and it was put out by Theo Errett. He was the photographer out west for Stanley Weston's magazines, and he had a bunch from his personal collection, and he took all the apartment house photos, and there's a shit. Okay, first page I come to, it's a fully nude. There's a lot of fully nude shots in here of apartment girls, but there's also fantastic shots of wrestling in here, besides some of the more bizarre ones. Mostly from the WWA Los Angeles photos that you'll see a lot of Mascaras, the Sheik, Pampero Firpo, John Tolis, the list goes on of all the people who were there. And you also get fully nude shots that they didn't show in the magazines of the apartment girls. It's all in black and white because it was shot in black and white, so there's no color photos. Here's a great looking shot. Don Morocco, Pak Song when he won the America's title. Ernie Ladd busted up. There's some good bloody shots of the Sheik and Blassie here. This is Blassie and Tolis with another great bloody war. Girls wrestling naked on roller skates. All right, we haven't seen that too often, right? But Exquisite Mayhem, it's a thick, solid book, several hundred pages. You get your porn, you get your gore, and you get your classic shots of guys too. Cannot recommend it enough if you guys are fans of the territory in Los Angeles, WWA. They showed great stuff. Looking for some shots of the Sheik. Finally come up with him and Tolis. There's another one in here, it's really good. But yeah, that's Exquisite Mayhem. I think you've mostly seen everything that I can think of. I've been asked about cards too. I don't have many. I have a couple. I have a lot of Japanese cards. These are some photos taken from the IWGP tournament when Hogan won the IWGP. These are 5x7s or 3x5s, whatever the hell. 4x6s, I guess. These are your first couple NWF champions. Stan Hansen, Tiger Jeet Singh, Inoki. These are your first couple WWF junior champions, or light heavyweights as I like to call them. The Dynamite Kid, the Cobra, Dragon Fujinami, and Tiger Mask. And they did a first 25 champions on a card, and it took me forever to complete them, but I got the first 25 IWGP champions. That's all them right there, and a couple of the Road Warriors that go for some ridiculous money as well. And I have a couple of these old cards. I never got into them. I have a couple. It just wasn't my thing. Actually, I think I have a couple with Buddy Rogers back here too, actually. Hold on. Yeah. This is autographed by Buddy Rogers, and that set they put out in '92 or '1. I don't remember, but I bought that, and I got a couple of old ones with Fez and Buddy Rogers here. But that's about it. I'm not really a book guy. I was a magazine guy. So there it is, man. Thanks for joining me on a walkthrough. I think I showed you everything that I could. I love that shot. That's also the magazine cover. And that's also on an 8x10. I always thought that was cool. Here's Bruno, you know, from 20s in the middle in his 40s, and then in his 80s, supposedly, at the very end, still jacked up. I keep a picture of that in my weight room. And that's my inspiration to keep going every day. When I see that, it just gives me get one more set in. Bruno with the Puerto Rican championship when he went down to Puerto Rico in '78 after losing to Superstar in New York. Yeah, there it is. So guys, thanks for making 1,000 subscribers. That's insane. Because of you, I'm still going. This was the original plan was to make, I don't know, 10, 12 videos that are like 5 minutes long, just showing you guys the cover to help you complete your collections. And it's turned into all this, bringing you into my home and showing you my downstairs wrestling magazine cave. So more videos to come. I had a friend who took his own life, and it crushed me. So my head hasn't been right, and I haven't been thinking about putting out. I had some videos I wanted to do, but my head has not been into it, and I'm going to start crying if I talk about it. So we're going to end this on a happy note. Thanks for checking me out. Thanks for sticking with me on this hour and 5-minute video, and I promise more video magazine collections to come real shortly. All right, guys, we'll see you on the next.